Hi Tap Tigers, Mrs. E here, traveling teacher here in beautiful Queenstown, New Zealand. I'm at the Queenstown Luge today. I wanted to show you a little bit of it, so I'm recording my video here. I wanted to show you what an extremely awesome, fun thing this is to do. And I want you all to go home and tell your parents and every teacher you know and every adult you know that this is what we should build on top of Mount Trashmore. It would be totally awesome. Kids as young as 4 can do this. I did it, as you can see from this helmet, and you can do it. You would love it. There's a scenic track and a fast track. And so maybe something interesting will happen here on the fast track while I'm recording this video. I don't know. It's been kind of interesting so far. So anyway, today, in addition to showing you the Queenstown Luge, I want to answer a few more of your questions that I didn't get to in my first Queenstown, New Zealand video. So the first question comes from Cade. Cade wants to know how to pronounce Koroheke. Koroheke being, of course, the name of Cade's future city, city. So I wanted you to tell you, Cade, that you've always pronounced Koroheke right. It's pronounced exactly right, but it's a Maori word, and so that means that you put your future city in Australia, right? The bad news is you should have put your future city in beautiful New Zealand, because the Maori people only ever lived in New Zealand. They're not indigenous people in Australia at all. So that's one thing I found out while here in beautiful New Zealand. So, sorry to say, Cade, Lucas, Jenna, Zara, Lincoln, Sarah, Jameson, and Riley, you put your future city in the wrong country. And while we were talking about pronouncing things right, you might have noticed that I said Maori, not Maori. And that's because Maori is the correct way to pronounce the name of the indigenous people from New Zealand. So you just have to trust me on this. I'm right, and the entire United States has been doing it wrong. And if you want to know more about that, there's a link in the comments about how to pronounce Maori. So just to tell you a little bit about the Maori settled New Zealand around the year 1250. They were the first human beings to settle New Zealand. They sailed from other islands in the South Pacific. It could have been Tahiti, it could have been Hawaii, it could have been Samoa. Nobody knows which one for sure, but the Maori people, just like all those Hawaiians and Samoans and Tahitians, they all share a similar language and a similar culture. In fact, the legend of how the Maori came to New Zealand goes something like this. There was probably some kind of environmental catastrophe on one of the islands that people lived on, and they sailed across the ocean in great big wooden catamarans, using only their knowledge of the stars in the night sky to navigate across the ocean for thousands of miles. And they were probably led by a young girl who was the daughter of one of their chiefs and had a pal named Hei the chicken. Wait, you might be thinking, this sounds an awfully lot like the plot of Moana. And you would be right, because basically the settling of New Zealand by the Maori is basically the plot of Moana, and I bet you didn't know that. So pretty good down there, huh? So anyway, that's a little bit of something about New Zealand that I bet you didn't know. It's basically the story of Moana. Our next question is from Adam and Tristan. Adam and Tristan, who told me to go to Middle Earth and bring back Frodo's ring. Frodo's ring? Seriously, Adam and Tristan? Seriously? You thought I was going to bring back Frodo's ring? Everyone knows that Frodo's ring is burnt up because it got dropped into Mount Doom along with Smeagol and Frodo's finger. I don't know how you thought I was supposed to bring Frodo's ring back from Middle Earth. I did go to Middle Earth, however. I went to the Shire, which is an attraction in the North Island of New Zealand, and I saw a bunch of hobbit holes. Bilbo's hobbit hole. I saw Frodo's hobbit hole. I saw Samwise's hobbit hole. I saw the Green Dragon Inn too. And you know, the Lord of the Rings films were all filmed here in New Zealand, and you can see why. It is a very beautiful landscape. And it's similar to Europe, which is where J.R.R. Tolkien was from. But it's different from Europe too, because of the different plants and the unique landforms which I think gives the Lord of Rings this really sort of enchanted, otherworldly look. Or maybe it's elfin magic. I don't know. That brings us to our last question from Audrey, who asks, do you miss me yet? Yes, Audrey, I do. I miss you. And I miss everyone back at Taft, even the 6th graders. I mean, especially the 6th graders. In fact, I'll tell you, it's true. Waves of homesickness do come over me. They come over my kids. They come over my husband. And also, there's just not a lot of Americans down here in New Zealand. So Americans, you should come here. And when you come here, you should open a Mexican restaurant, because there's no good Mexican restaurants in New Zealand. So think about it. Business opportunity. You heard it from me. Until next time, Taft Tigers, this is Mrs. E signing out. Don't forget, the world is a great, big, beautiful place just waiting for you. Bye-bye.